It's an ML Sports Take from Rosie's Corner. Happy holidays, everybody. It's a Fish Friday today. Make sure you stop in for your lunch and your entree version. Of course, the French fries, coleslaw, and mac and cheese. Some side options for you. Pizza wings are available as well. And hey, tomorrow on Christmas Eve, you got to stop by here because if you spend $35, you will get a $50 gift card. Coffee and donuts on the house here as well at Rosie's. So make sure you stop on by Route 11 in Brewerton. If you're in and around Central New York, Rosie's Corner is a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. Let's get into some of the keys for the Buffalo Bills against the Chicago Bears. I've got a few listed. Number one, stop the run. They have got a rushing attack over in Chicago, led by the quarterback, one of the great athletes in the NFL, in Justin Fields. He just doesn't have a roster around him and all, but they should have a full core of running backs, for this game, including David Montgomery, who I've always loved. And Justin Fields has already run for 1,000 yards. So there's going to be a lot of broken plays because the Bears are missing their two guards up front. They don't have a lot of guys to stretch the field. And so Justin Fields is going to have to make plays, and he's going to have to kind of, improvise when the pocket breaks down and he can't find options. He's going to take off a lot. I think they're going to lean on the ground game a lot early too because of the weather. So that's one thing there is the Bills might have to play some zone contain as opposed to blitzing and man coverage. They got to make sure that they're in the right spots and space and all the rest with Edmonds and Milano and Poyer and everybody in between. They've got to make sure that they contain that big explosive play by Justin Fields. The second key for me for the Buffalo Bills is the simplicity stuff, the stuff that they've gotten a lot better at, limiting turnovers, penalties, dumb mistakes, special teams gaffes. All that stuff, the Bills are one of the best teams the last 4 or 5 weeks in the NFL. And when you play against an inferior opponent, you don't want to make mistakes because that brings them back in. Another key is going to be the Bills' offensive line. Now, while the Bears have a really brutal defensive line, and that's why I think the Bills are going to be able to move the ball quite a bit, although the Bears' secondary is good, and I'll get to that in a second. But the offensive line is a little bit banged up. No Mitch Morse again, the center, of course, with a concussion problem. He suffered that last week. And now what you have is you have Ryan Bates, who should be healthy. You have Ike Bucker, who just got placed back on the roster. And you have Greg Van Roten. So let's see here what the Bills do. Ryan Bates playing center is where I think Josh Allen trusts him a little bit more. They tried him at right guard earlier in the year, but then he played center last week, and he plays center really, really well, and Allen trusts Ryan Bates with his life. So I would expect you to see Ryan Bates at center, and then that right guard spot that usually is occupied by Ryan Bates, I think would probably go to Greg Van Roten, and maybe a rotational piece would be Ike Bucker to get him some reps because the Bills are extremely high on Ike Bucker. Another thing to watch, a key, is Stephon Diggs against Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's a really, 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 really good player. He's a third-year corner. He's super physical. Last week, despite A.J. Brown putting up a lot of numbers for Philadelphia against Jalen Johnson, Jalen Johnson had a lot of pass breakups, and he had a lot of coverage takeaways and all that. So this guy is actually a really underrated player, and the Bills, it's going to be interesting to see how they manifest that. That's another key for sure. Look, the weather is going to be the weather, right? There's going to be ice and snow and sleet and crap all over the place. We'll see what team gets affected by that more. I think that this game is going to be, I think the Bills are favored by about 8.5. I think that's a little high. I mean, there's no question that the Bills are by far the better team. But the Bears, even though they're 3-11, these two teams have opposite records, by the way, 11-3 against 3-11. Even though the Bears have that ridiculously bad record, they have played really hard to the finish every single game, and they need to build around Justin Fields. The future could be bright if they get the right weapons for him. They're going to be down a couple of weapons on offense as well. But the Bears compete, and they're a fast team. And the Bills have just got to keep going and keep plugging and not take anything for granted. They win this game. They win the division. There's a lot on the line. And, the weather's going to be the weather. I think the line's a little bit large. I'm going to take the Bills in this game 26-20. I think the Bills get it done, but I think it's going to be a close game. I easily could see this game, being in the teens because of the weather. I could also see it being super high scoring because many times with the weather, everybody wants to yell and scream about how nobody can move the ball in in the snow. And then we saw last week the Miami Dolphins come into Buffalo, outplay the Bills, and the Bills still won the game. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Josh Allen got those couple of big drives in the fourth quarter, of course, and they just carved Miami's defense to death. Well, guess what? Miami was outplayed in Miami, and the Bills lost the game. So, you know, that's sports. It's the way the cookie crumbles. So really looking forward to this game, though. There's a lot of great football, tons of games on Christmas Eve, you know, obviously games on Saturday, Sunday, all weekend long. So I'll take the Bills in this game 26-20. Stop by here for Fish Friday, Rosie's Corner, lunch, entree version. You've got the coleslaw, the French fries, and the mac and cheese. Try the meatball bomber, the chicken parm sub, you name it, they've got it. Grab the gift cards tomorrow here at Rosie's. $35 spent gets you a $50 gift card, and of course they're going to have coffee, donuts here for you as well. So grab those and stuff those stockings for the holiday season. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and as I always tell you, enjoy the games.